You're listening to the Served Up Show, a podcast that features inspiring beverage professionals and topic experts that share their passions through meaningful content. Your hostesses, Bridget Albert, is best known as the Market Fresh Mixologist, an industry mentor with over 25 years of experience. And I'm Julie Milroy, best known for my passion for leading change and helping others grow in their careers. Grab a cocktail and sit back. Let's learn how we can make a positive impact in our industry.
Hey y'all, it's Bridget here. My co-host Julie had an amazing conversation with Dia Sims. Sims serves as the CEO of Lobos 1707 Tequila and Mezcal, a new independent spirits brand that launched in November of 2020. Dia leads Lobos 1707, named after the Spanish word meaning wolves, and is dedicated to celebrating the strength of the pack. In May of 2021, Sims co-founded Pronghorn, a partnership with the world's leading spirits producer, Diageo. Pronghorn is a 10-year initiative to drive diversity, equity, and inclusion in the spirits industry. So grab yourself your favorite Lobos 1707 cocktail and enjoy this very special episode. Dia, thank you so much for joining us back on Served Up.
I am so delighted to be here. You can't keep me away. I'm not even going to get off until we plan my next return. I'm going to be obnoxiously inviting myself.
Oh, you can come on anytime. So fun fact is I was just looking because I definitely wanted to guide our listeners to the first time you were on was exactly today, June 7th, 2 years ago.
That is so amazing. I swear everything is always very cyclical and to the day. That's incredible.
I know. I feel like it's like a really good luck charm. It's like a good sign. So I was super excited when I noticed that. And 2021, I mean, that seems like forever ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, it is. Look, we're now officially in dog years with the amount of information and activity we're facing every day. It's a very different world.
It is. It's insane. And I'm not going to quote you exactly because it's been a while since I've re-listened to our episode. But I remember obviously for our listeners that are listening now, Dia shares her entire life, where she grew up, how she got into this industry. And I remember we asked you towards the end, what's next? And you said, no more new projects. I'm probably going to be on a beach somewhere. And so we know that did not happen.
It's going to happen. I got some where I'm all in on Lobos. We just came out with the new limited time, incredible liquid and beautiful bottle for an añejo. Really thrilled about the work happening at Pronghorn. I've invested in over 16 Black-owned brands, an incredible spike in employment for Black Americans year over year. So I'm all in, but I have
you're on the path.
Maybe 8 to 10 years till I get to the Maldives or even Virginia Beach. I'll take, but just a beach. I'm fine.
Well, so catch us up because those are some major developments since we last spoke. Lobos was just, you were building your team, your, go-to-market approach, everything was flowing. And now you've, since then created the line extension. So we want to hear all about that. And we want to hear all about Pronghorn for our listeners that don't know, which is an incredible initiative that, you spearheaded with your co-founders, and we want to know all about it. So tell us what's gone on in the last 2 years since we last spoke.
No, it's kind of nice because it feels like we're a little bit in a time machine because you're right. At that time, we had only been out for about 2 months nationally. And within that first 12 months, we tripled our forecast. The liquid has gotten incredible awards. At one point in 6 months, Lobos have received about 40 awards through the trademark, from our Joven to our Reposado to our Extra Añejo, all including our Mezcal with sherry finish, finished with in sherry cask. And our Reposado won at San Francisco, not just double gold, but we actually officially won best in class over hundreds of, by the way, incredible brands that I admire, which made it even that more special. I remember we got the call, and like you would have thought like we won the Oscars. We were like, oh, we won it. And the whole team, our investors, like LeBron, everyone was just so proud. We have said from the beginning on Lobos 1707 that, you know, we're grateful for the backing of these incredible luminaries like LeBron James or Arnold Schwarzenegger or Lindsey Vonn. But make no mistake, the liquid is our star. And it's the kind of thing where like you think your baby is cute, but it's nice when you get independent confirmation of like, oh no, they tested it blind. They did all the appropriate scientific methodology. And independently, we came out verified, right, as best in class. So we firmly believe that the best exposure for the brand is trying it. You can try it better than I can tell you. And I know the reason why I'm there and the reason why we have such an incredible team that chose to be a part of this tequila is really just, we're so proud of the product and the story and the history behind it of our founder from the 1700s. So it's incredible. It's been a great journey.
Yeah. And with the rise of kind of celebrity-backed, celebrity-owned spirits, it's all great stuff, and it definitely feeds into the hype, but ultimately it is quality, right? It's what's in the bottle that's going to sustain. And I just love seeing this movement with tequila on really based on super high quality, additive free, all that good stuff. So, you know, to see that being awarded, you know, through a blind tasting like the San Francisco competition is congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, we feel like as a clean tequila, we're kosher, no additives. It's just a beautiful offering in the middle of a agave revolution, right? So I'm proud to see the growth of the category contributing to the growth of the industry. And you know, we're proud to be incredible contender in that space.
Yeah. And obviously the quality of the juice, the company in itself, but I think the way that you've really built the culture around, you know, the pack and I've been following it and everybody's following it all over social media, and it's really resonated, you know, with kind of the theme of the wolf pack. So tell us how that's kind of evolved.
Yeah. So Lobos means wolves in Spanish. And the reason why that name was selected by our founder is his family coat of arms from the 1700s is two wolves. And you'll see that on every bottle to harken back to the legacy of Lobos. And kind of weirdly, like to the point of the date, I feel like I've always had some wolf thing happening in my life, right? I remember when one of my dearest friends' mother gave all the girls, we were teenagers, she gave all of us the book, Women That Run with the Wolves. And it's it's an intense book to read. It was like nothing I'd ever read before. And some of the themes really stuck with me. And then I went to work for the Department of Defense, and I worked for the Navy. And a lot of the Marines had a saying, it's from Rudyard Kipling, that the strength of the pack is the wolf and the strength of the wolf is the pack. And it always also really stuck with me. And then fast forward years later, when I was building Ciroc Vodka, our team every day we would write inspirational phrases, right? And most of it just happened to be, they just also happened to be the best. But a lot of my team were women, and one day they wrote in my office, they threw her to the wolves and she came back leading the pack. So the thing I'll never forget, like these are all different times in my life, but there was always something going back to it. So when I got the opportunity to learn about this brand, when it was just an idea, a name, a liquid, and an incredible family story, I was like, well, this is really a recurring theme. And I started to really research because I'm super, I love learning, super geek. So I was like, I want to learn a lot about wolves. What does it mean to be a part of a wolf pack, right? Because a lot of times socially, sometimes wolf packs have not gotten the best reputation. And when I've gone to wolf sanctuaries, I've learned that sometimes coyote behavior actually has been attributed to wolves. But that's for another TED Talk. But nonetheless, The short of it is we really built our company on what it means to be a part of a wolf pack. All of the integrity, simple things like there's an alpha female and an alpha male, that often the strongest wolf takes up the rear to protect, right, the pack, that if a wolf is sick, the wolf pack actually takes care of that wolf, which is quite different than many other warm-blooded animals, right, in terms of actually stopping and nurturing and caring for.
Yeah, you're usually vulnerable and you're going to get killed.
Exposed and the target, right? They're very different. The intelligence, the strategy, the cunning, like they're just a very interesting and intriguing animal group that survived because of their commitment to the group. So their ability to be formidable opponents to animals 10, 11, 12 times, 15, 20 times their size is because they are so dedicated and strategic about the way they work in partnership. And we took that heartbeat in the way we built this brand. So look, we are backed by big names, but we're a small independent supplier, right? But we will have all of the intelligence, all of the care, the concern, the kindness, and consistency in the way a wolf pack moves. And when it was just the founder and I, we try to do it between the two of us, and we're still small, but we're now about 50 people, and we are excited to keep that through line in the way you build a brand. Because today's consumer, incredible product is, to me, the price of admission. But then on top of that, people care, as they should. Well, how do you run your business, right? Do you run your business level of integrity? And it's important to us that we do, that you can come by any day and see us, and we'd be proud to have anybody see the way we operate.
That's great. I mean, and the way that you've applied that to your internal team and how you operate, it's like you've been able to kind of pull in a community of consumers and people in the trade that feel like they're a part of that pack. And we know, right? It's all about community now. So you mentioned bringing people to the Wolf Refuge Center or.
Yes, sanctuaries. Yes.
The sanctuary. It's our refuge center. Yes, the Wolf Sanctuary. So that, I mean, what an incredible experience.
It's something I've never done in my life. And before, Lobos, and we do them, we host them at this beautiful location, Wolf Sanctuary, outside of Los Angeles sometimes. And, I will tell you, right, a lot of LA citizens are a little bit jaded. They've seen it all. But when we bring different groups to the Wolf Sanctuary, it's such a soul enriching experience to have a chance to see these animals, hear their story, understand how they're now working together, understand their contributions. There's, I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but there's an incredible, give it a Google, it's worth it. There's an incredible story from Yellowstone, where at some point there was concern at Yellowstone Park, I think it was in the 70s. And they said, we think the wolves are causing challenges. We're going to remove all the wolves from Yellowstone Park. And then you saw how that negatively impacted in an incredible way, right? Because wolves impacted ungulates like deer and elk, who impacted the foliage and the green, which impacted the beavers, which impacted dams. So the absence of the wolves actually changed the water flow, the geological structure of the park, the overages, right? And that story always stuck with me. There's a saying that we say a lot, is that one wolf pack can change the world, right? And that was a beautiful case study of it. So they're interesting animals, and we do borrow a lot of that spirit in the way we have community within our organization and with the industry at large.
That's incredible. And it's just so wonderful to see Lobos being a role model and exemplary to how spirit companies operate today, which brings us to another animal in your life. So tell us about Pronghorn. We've, crossed paths through multiple things with WSWA, so I'm very familiar. We've been able to get involved a bit with your internship program, but tell our listeners all about Pronghorn.
Yes. So I know we're like, we're supposed to be talking spirit, and all of a sudden it's Nat Geo. But
hey, it's all relative, right?
Yes. Listen, we spoke in 2021, right? It's the last time in this forum, and coming off of a period of time where the whole country is going through this reckoning, right? Of how can we just how do we celebrate who we are? How do we make the best of it? And myself and two other co-founders, Dan Sanborn and Aaron Harris, started getting calls from the spirits industry leadership saying like, you know what, we want to do better. We understand that diversity is in fact good for business. We understand that we have to do it on purpose. It's not going to happen accidentally, right? What should we do? And I often say, don't call me for a parade or a mural. Like, if you want, ask me, I'm going to try to find a long-term, sticky solution that's actually going to work, right? I grew up in the if you can get a B, you can get an A. If we're doing it, we're going to really do it. So we took some work and did essentially some extensive modeling work because it was COVID, so it was a little bit more time, and said, okay, we want to essentially figure out the right template for how to diversify any industry, right? Because this was a time where I was looking at the news and everyone was saying, we need to be more diverse. We need to fix justice, education. And I'm like, well, everybody's missing, right? That you actually have to fix the economic underpinning of things, right? You actually have to generate wealth so communities can be active participants in solving their own problems. So we developed this initiative called Pronghorn. And it is starting with the spirits industry and starting with the Black American community. And it's being built open code so that we can apply it to other communities and in the future to other industries. I really do. I am obsessed. I love working in the spirits industry because when I went out first to the top 13 suppliers together with Discus, everybody said, yes, sign us up for our pro rata amount of net gain hiring of Black Americans from the intern to the C-suite. We're all in, and we work together in collaboration to bolster the pipeline to get you to a net gain of 1,800 new Black Americans in the spirits industry at large over 10 years. We also said, look, there's a huge gap in Black-owned spirits. Actually, a shockingly small gap. One fact that we found was until just recently in the past year, there had been never once just a Black owner of a gin or whiskey or tequila that built it and sold it for any meaningful event or even had a meaningful level of investment. That doesn't even make sense, right? So we're like, okay, we have to change that. So we're going to invest in 57 Black-owned foolproof spirits. And in the first 12 months, which just recently ended for Pronghorn, we now have already invested in 16 Black-owned. So if you wanted to, you could have a full bar with all Black-owned spirits, of which I will shout Lobos 1707. We are also over 50% minority owned.
That's amazing.
Which is great, yes. And then it's a hard industry. It's really tricky, right? So in between that, we distilled, if you will, 11 supercharging areas so that entrepreneurs who go in the space and as employees can get the right training together with Discus, who work with Cornell, and entrepreneurs who want to be in the space can understand the distributor, the opportunity, and actually the uniqueness of our structure and how it's to their benefit, right? Working with amazing distributors, the ability to source glass, right? To understand national accounts, to understand the difference between end-aisle display spaces and right? So all of these different things that help to make you successful in the industry. And we work and assess exactly kind of what your need state is and provide the information as like an accelerator or an internal consultant would do. And the reason we call it Pronghorn is the pronghorn is an animal. It looks kind of like an elk. It's mostly found in Montana, or more famous for being associated with Montana. It's the second fastest land mammal in the world and the fastest land mammal actually in America. And our point really is that a pronghorn was racing against a cheetah. In a sprint, a cheetah would win. But for the long haul, a pronghorn will win every single time. And our objective is to go far, but to go fast. We are impatient and we have a lot of things we need to catch up for. But we're not looking at doing things short term or for the one day. We're looking to see what will it actually take, investment, resources, time. What is something that is commercially forward? Pronghorn is not a not-for-profit, right? We are about building successful, long-term, great businesses and contributing incredible humans and great brilliance to drive the business forward. And kind of to wrap them together, something we say at Lobos a lot, but it applies, is I think the challenge we've had is there's been a mistake that DEI is being viewed like a game of musical chairs. And we often say, no, it's about building a bigger table, right? If you're really doing diversity, right, every study shows you're actually making more money, right?
Right.
So
business is good.
Let's actually build great businesses. And it's not at the expense of any population. It's meant to be completely additive for us as an industry.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're living proof of that and through Pronghorn and just all the work you do in general. And I think that there has been a bit of a flood with D&I where people are, everybody's just kind of like, oh, well, we do D&I and I support D&I, but they don't really know what it means, right? It's become like another topic or a capability, versus true impactful difference. And, despite all those tough times back in, COVID era and with the racial awakening and all of that, there has been a lot of good that came out of it. And I love that Pronghorn is not only about kind of the opportunities for a career in the industry from intern to executive, but also kind of building up entrepreneurs as well. So tell us a little bit more about kind of the internship program, because we had our intern or one of our recruiters, Chip, work with Tiffany. And I know that we did get an offer accepted. And I believe they're just kicking off the program now.
Yes, that's so wonderful. Well, thank you, so much for the support. It's been just wonderful, and it means a great deal to the interns. One of the biggest challenges is people don't know about our industry at all. Like, I went to college.
It's like the best unknown secret. Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't know, right? So we just want more people to know what an incredible place it is to work. I mean, these are awesome jobs. And also anything you do, you're going to be an accountant or a lawyer or a marketer anywhere else, come bring your brilliance over here. So every summer we bring on the interns. They typically will participate in some of the trade, like next week, we bring the full group for training not down to, depends on where you are, to Discus in Chicago for a week. And they get a fair amount of industry crash course, understanding about the 3-tier system, et cetera. And then they're deployed to different companies throughout the industry. So we're really excited about that. And then also we share, we will help to advertise for no fee. If anybody has jobs openings, we will push it out to our audience. And we have relationships with organizations like National Black MBAs or National Association of Black Accountants, pre-existing associations that, again, just a lot of times really just don't get tapped. So it's just a little bit of matchmaking, to be honest. I'm saying, like, here's some incredible talent. Here's an awesome industry. You should know each other. And we want to help to continue to foster those exchanges.
Yeah, that is so great. And I love seeing that. And I'm starting to see it more and more. And I think that, with the industry and you mentioned earlier, liquor brands are being bought and sold all the time and people are making a lot of money. And the fact that none of them are like Black owned, it's definitely a roadblock. So, I have my ideas of why that is, but what can you, in all your research, where is that gap happening, specifically in the spirits industry, that when we look at it, right, we look at our consumer base and even the front line from hospitality to our salespeople, it is very reflective of a very, pop culture diverse community. So where is that roadblock in your view? So
I think there's a few things. Our industry is the only one that has a constitutional amendment dedicated to it, right? There are some historical implications that restrain the industry to a very particular population. And kind of it is what it is. I don't think there's anything you can do to look backwards. But I think one of the challenges that came up out of the industry and the protection of this industry is complicated and tricky, and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing for the American citizen. So the people who started in the industry 100 years ago, in some ways, may have just been like, we're going to protect the industry. So you know what? We're only going to hire people who've already been in the industry. Well, that's a big circle, right? So, and that becomes a challenge. So the first very simple thing is, if all of your job descriptions require somebody to have had previous industry, you are restricting your pipeline and you're limiting your access to great talent. That's the easiest, simplest thing to change. And the truth is, I mean, even the way I hire, I'm much more concerned about the way somebody thinks, the level of commitment, right? The passion, the curiosity. We can teach the technical skill sets, right? If you have a curious thinker, again, to the benefit of our industry. So I think that's one of the big things. The second big thing right now is our country remains enormously socially segregated. So I meet tons of people who have I think, the right intentions of like, well, I want to have more women executives, or I would like to bring more, racial minorities into the space. But the challenge is, I don't know anybody. I don't
know. Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, on both sides, sometimes that comment is met with like, oh, that's on you. And it becomes a contentious unnecessarily, instead of saying like, that's okay. I don't know what I mean. Like, let's figure out how to actually just solve the problem. And let's study this dispassionately, like you would like a scientist or like an economist will look at a case study. Here's where we stand today. These are some of the barriers. The fact that honestly, people just literally just don't even know each other. And then how do you bring them together? So small things that we do, for example, we're doing like doesn't have to be an actual job opening, but pooling great Black American executives from all different industries and introducing them to HR leads in the industry in a non-pressure time. You should just know you exist. And then you can start to have people in your mind the way any of us have a certain Rolodex of like, oh, wait, I need this role. I know these 6 people. Part of that I don't want to sound Pollyannish, but it is a legitimate issue and you hear it over and over and over and over again. Honestly, those 2 barriers alone will make a big difference. And then we're doing things a little more in the weeds where, for example, some of the historically Black colleges and universities, when I looked at the undergraduate programs, right, we want to make sure they have the right undergraduate program so that when our industry starts speaking to them, typically not until they turn 21, it's not too late. How are we making sure they're studying brand psychologists or that their scientists are aware of the R&D opportunities earlier so that we're graduating students out of HBCUs that'll be phenomenal to the industry. At 21, sometimes it's too late. So as long as obviously, we're all about responsible, but not more about the industry, not about the consumption side. And it's just right sizing. The consumption size for the Black American population is typically pro rata, right, to the population, 12 to 14%. But beyond that, the average Black American drinker punches above their weight from a trend standpoint, right? So when you study brand trends, they often come out of, Black and brown neighborhoods. So it's important that we invest that commensurately, again, just because it makes commercial sense. We've got to be able to reflect the population we serve. Diversity is only going in one direction in the world. That's up. We all want our revenues to follow. You have to make sure the people that work at your companies actually understand the population.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really starts with, having that diverse community with, who you work with and who you socialize with. Right. So that's such a great point. And so tell me a little bit more about how you select some of these Black owned entrepreneurs with some of these brands. And, if somebody wanted to get involved, how can they do that?
Oh, yes. So we've identified now about 270 Black owned spirits companies, which, as we understand it, is more than anybody else has found, but is still very small when you look at the universe, very small numbers. So the first thing is we remove some of the traditional restraints that a typical VC would have, because our view is no zip code has a lock on talent, but many are very grossly under-resourced, right? So we're more looking for the spirit of the founder, right, and the commitment of the founder, and we can help with like, well, is this the right choice in today's market, right? Let's give you the right data. Oh, maybe we can help with making sure you have the right label for visibility and branding. Typically, the founder has what I mentioned, 11 supercharging things earlier, right? So founder may have an incredible liquid, phenomenal financial savoir-faire, but the bottle's not that great, right? So we're here to say, oh, no, that's our purpose. We're here to be a partner with you. Take all of your great genius, couple it with the information and resources you need to go from good to great, right? To go to exceptional. And then help you on your journey forward. Anybody who's remotely interested, please, it's pronghorn.co. And we are open to, even if you just have an idea, because often some people have great ideas, but it costs significant money just to even get that idea integrate debt, right? Even to get the first step. So it does not have to be a fully blown out product that is already selling thousands of cases. If you are at the concept stage, if you are at, I've got it, but I have it in a few neighborhood bars, I only sell 100 cases, please call us. And if you have something incredible and you're off to the races, please call us. But we especially want to make sure there is a robust pipeline. So if you're day, 3, put us on short dial, because both sides of the funnel we talked about earlier, a lot of times outstanding entrepreneurs and employees go on to be incredible founders. Mm-hmm. And sometimes a founder tries a couple, 3 times and either they have success or they don't. And they could go and be the leader of a great brand or an incredible commercial lead at a distributor, right? But those two sides, founders, right, and employees, we think feed each other. So we want to make sure we have a wide pipeline of people who are coming into our industry.
That's just so great, right? To have a resource like that and somebody that perhaps already has a brand that needs to get to that next level or needs some coaching or, some sharing the ideas, the fact that you're open to that. And even as somebody that would be interested in this industry, no matter where they're at in their career, that they can get on to pronghorn.co.
Yes.
And connect with this network. I tell people all the time now with so many of the different organizations, like what you're doing, what Women of the Vine and Spirits is doing. And then even Southern, we launched our Incubator Academy, which is, free courses on how to navigate through distribution, right? Once you have your product and you've done all of that and you're ready for distribution, and it's free for minority and women owned. So I tell people all the time, like, there is no better time to be in this industry than now. I think it's always been a good time, but I feel like there's so many more resources and just very intentional on creating equity all around.
Just the education. I mean, I've been on and off in the industry about 25 years. And, again, I love the industry, but it's a little trial by fire back then. You just had to know somebody, or you had to be tenacious about asking a million questions. I had previously worked in the Department of Defense, and it's probably the only other industry that rivals the amount of acronyms.
Really? That's not surprising.
Yeah, but besides defense, right, it's, we're all talking in this language that we all understand, but when you come from the outside, it can be intimidating. And now the ability to go and tap into what Southern is offering, the great work that Deborah does with Women of the Vine and Spirits, the incredible offering that Kids has put together with the Cornell curriculum. It didn't exist when I came into the industry. And I feel like the grandpa that was like, when I had to walk, 100 miles to school. But it is, to your point, a beautiful time to invite talent into the industry and honestly save some time for us, right? Because we were hook or crooking figuring it out. You can come in the first year and actually learn the right way, right? It's like learning golf the wrong way the first time. Now you can come and learn the right way.
Yeah.
It's a more beautiful future for the future.
Right. And you mentioned that earlier, right? We're like in dog years, and time flies by. So you've got to no time to waste. And I feel the same way, started this industry and being that it is so specific with our 3-tier system and, each state having their own law and liquor being controlled by each state. I mean, we are the only country in the world that has a 3-tier system. It works for us. It's very successful. And, people can argue either side to that, but it is what it is. And it's really complicated. And I felt like for the longest time, kind of growing up in this industry and we all figuring it out, no matter what role I had, there was never like an SOP, standard operating process. We're creating that now, right? It's like we have processes now. I used to think, we were such a unique unicorn kind of industry. And also like we weren't quite sophisticated as like other CPG marketing companies and brands and stuff. And if you think of like the beverage industry, like Bev Alc was kind of like out here, but yet it's such a lucrative industry. And I feel like everybody's figuring it out now and seeing the different leadership that's coming from places like Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola into the spirits industry, I feel like we're growing up and we're becoming so much more sophisticated, but that scrappiness, it really creates something unique. And I never knew like, oh, as been a distributor for over a decade, like, are those transferable skills? And I'm like, these are such unique skills that, that most people wouldn't even have access to unless you've just kind of done it.
I always liken spirits to politics because it's a ground game, right? Like it's person by person, right? It's account by account. You need to be a little bit guerrilla. Right. You need to have both the strategic savoir-faire, but then you got to get in that zip code. And there's not enough, at least at this point, there's not enough technology yet to usurp that, right? Because you still have to have that human to human interaction, which I love. And I love the fact that the more we add, right, the level of data injection, the right systems in place to that scrappiness and that heartfelt human to human interaction, that gives us now an unfair advantage, right, to be even more incredible. Because what we have been doing as an industry is growing at an enviable rate year over year. So the more we continue to inject, right, the right levels of systems, the technology, it's just a chance for us to supercharge the great work we're already doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you bring up a point, as far as like, you got to get into the zip code. And we've interviewed a couple celebrities and, we love talking, the celebrity owned brands. And, the biggest thing we make a little joke, and I don't know if I should say it, but I'm going to, but it's like, I don't think I've ever seen a celebrity have to work so hard until they get into the liquor industry. And they are working their butts off. Right. And it's no joke. I mean, it's a lot of work. And I think, they realize, and the guests that we've interviewed, you have to get in the market. You have to get in front of the people, and all the technology and data and all this, it only helps us be better. Absolutely. But there is such this human component to it, even with our internal teams. It makes a world of difference when we go out there, we meet in person, and it's like anything can be solved for versus from a centralized place shooting off emails. So
no, it's game changing. And what I love is, to the larger point is, just reinforces the beautiful commonalities between us too, right? Like I say all the time, humans share 99.5% of the same genome, right? And if aliens are looking at us, they were like, what are they fighting about? They're all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And the things that we're arguing about are ludicrous. At the end of the day, everybody wants, a job you can be proud of. Hopefully at least one person you love and somebody loves you back, right? Like you want to be happy, you want to bring joy in your life. We all kind of want the same base things. And I think you just can't unlock that on email, and you can't unlock it in theory or professorial musings. You have to be, person to person, room to room. And I think people's empathy rises when you have real in-person communication, and it sharply, precipitously declines when you're what's the term, whatever, tiger text. You're a fearsome soldier behind your keyboard, right? But it's an important thing that it's part of the reason why I love being in this industry, because you have the opportunity, and in fact, the requirement, if you want to be successful, you got to be out in the world. I just left the area I love in Maryland, DC, for 5 days, and just being out in the field and meeting people and saying thank you. I'll tell one quick story from this I love. When I worked before on the Ciroc brand and we launched Variant Peach, it was it blew out every norm and it was incredibly successful. And in the middle of like a thank you tour to accounts, was at a liquor store in Georgia, and just kind of going by saying thank you for the support. And the gentleman came and said, you guys don't realize Peach, my sales from Peach alone allowed me to pay for my daughter's college this year. And he was like, it means so much. And I think, it can be like, oh, we're selling tequila, it's fun. But it's like, no, we're fueling American economy. We're changing entrepreneur lives. And it meant so much to crystallize in that moment. Like, this work is not frivolous. And you don't know that unless you're like in the store, at the ground level.
You're absolutely right. It impacts so many lives and so many people. One, one brand, right? And I, not to be a Debbie Downer, but even just what's happening with Bud Light. And I just, read a recent article about how it's impacting all those salespeople that have relied on that consistent commission year over year over year.
Absolutely.
And it's just, we think it's just some drink or some brand, but it really impacts so many lives.
Yeah, it's much bigger than that. And just, we're at a time now where the power is democratized, but we as individual citizens have to respect the power we wield now, right? To your point, to affect people's lives for good or bad. One tweet, one review, one comment could reverberate to somebody's home, to their children, to a community, and starting to take, we're all new to that everybody now has this level of power that used to belong to a smaller group, the power of the global microphone. But we need to commensurately embrace the weight and the impact that has. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but be cautious about weaponizing it, right? And what the long-term effects of that could be. Yeah,
absolutely. So Dia, I know it's not going to be another 2 years till we get together again, but tell me, what is on. Everything's great. Lobos, you're doing fantastic. It's really stepping up. And I know you're on your way to just becoming this global iconic brand. Pronghorn is going to impact so many people in so many different ways. What are a couple things that you're looking forward to finish off 2023?
Whoosh, well, as I mentioned, we just yesterday launched Lobos 1707, limited time offering for Añejo. I called our founder when I tasted the liquid, a few months ago, and I was like, this is ridiculously good. Like, it's all it is so incredible. So I'm so proud of introducing that liquid. We are continuing to do the work at Pronghorn. Thankful to the work that Southern has done. We have initially started off a lot with suppliers, but we are now going into more conversations with the distributor tier and the retailer tier. So everybody will see me traveling around, sharing the gospel of Pronghorn as we roll that piece out. And I think, look, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I love this industry, and anything I could do to be a part of helping it to grow is something that I'm committed to doing.
Yeah. And it shows, Dia. I mean, every time we're in any kind of industry, with WSWA or anything, and everybody's like, who should we call? Dia. Your name's coming up and you're probably like, oh my God, I don't have, but you're so gracious with your time, and you're always showing up, and it's very noticeable. And also, it's for people like me and everybody else, like having somebody like you, who really represents a lot of us, of how we've grown up, and our cultures, to be leading the way. It's something that I don't think was ever imagined, even though you were out there doing it, like behind the scenes and doing all that stuff. But seeing you come to light is just so inspiring. So thank you.
Thank you.
So we are going to stay close in touch. I mean, I definitely, all of our listeners, check out Lobos 1707. So this new añejo, is that in limited markets, like
yes,
super limited?
15 markets. It's already, we found out yesterday, we sold through in New Jersey in like one day. So it's moving very quickly. Yes, so probably about 45 days, we think it'll be a market max.
Oh my goodness. Well, if you can't get the limited edition, the entire line is absolutely delicious, and you can find that most places. And Pronghorn, I can't reiterate enough. And Served Up was really created for the hospitality industry, and it's really about opening those opportunities. So, I think for any Black, student, or if you're already in the industry and you're in a different part of the industry and you want to learn more about the supplier side, I mean, get onto pronghorn.co and take advantage. I mean, this is wonderful stuff.
No, thank you so much, Julie. If I can, I just want to, just because, we all found out today, but with the passing of Ivan from Diageo, I know this is, specific, but he was so committed to diversity, everything we're talking about. with Diageo came on as Pronghorn's anchor investor, and having had the chance and the privilege to have known Ivan for many, many years, it's just such a blow to our community. But what an honor to have had his brilliance and his kindness and his integrity as a part of our industry. He truly served as a light and has always been such a wonderful energy and spirit from the very beginning. And I remember the first time I met Ivan, I was working as a chief of staff. And I think the one thing that's so beautiful with Ivan is, every step of the way, I feel like he treated everybody the exact same, with the same integrity, the same interest, the same kindness. So he will be missed. I will be remiss just not to honor his legacy.
Well, thank you for that. And I feel like Diageo has just been everywhere, like following me around, but we did see the news today. It's so sad. And I haven't had the honor of being around him, but I talked to a couple of colleagues that just, were in meetings with him a few months ago, and it's so sad, and Diageo's really paved the way. And I just love that they continue to do what they do for really diversifying, building equity in the industry. I think it really started with women. I remember they were one of the first companies in my Working Moms magazine where it would show the index of the top. And Diageo is always the only Bev Al company that would be on the chart. So this is something that they've been doing for a very long time. And it is really a sad day. So thank you for bringing that up. And he'll be missed. But I think, the work continues on with you and all the colleagues that are at Diageo and work with Diageo.
Yes. Well, thank you, Julie, so much, as always. Here to support any way I can, and grateful to be on this incredible Served Up podcast.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Served Up is brought to you by Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits. Produced by Zunu.online. Music by We Killed the Lion can be found on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe to be notified of future Served Up episodes. Cheers!